In this video, you're going to explore some options for hosting your websites, and we're actually going to go through the process of using two of those to get two of our apps up. Now, the nice thing about what we have here is that we have static websites. These are just a collection of static files. We save the files into the folder, and all we need to do to run the website is to have all of these files in some directory and serve it up. Locally, we are serving it up with the live server program. When we give it to an actual hosting platform, they're going to serve it up using their own infrastructure. So all we really need to do is copy the contents of any three of these folders over to a web server, and that's pretty much the only thing we have to do to deploy. So let's start off with some more generic options. The first one I want to talk about is HostGator, which I used in the past. They have pretty good support. It's really easy to get set up with. And by the way, I'm not affiliated with any of these. I'm just trying to give you a wide range of options. These guys are great if you're looking to get your own domain and do some static hosting. They have a pretty good set of services at a pretty cheap rate. Something very similar to HostGator is Bluehost. They have the same pricing. Those two are competitors. They also do great static hosting, and you get a domain when you sign up. So that is another option, but neither of those services have a free trial where you can actually use them without entering some sort of credit card. So we're not going to go down that route in this course. We're going to look at two services you probably haven't heard of before. The first one is Netlify. I've never actually said that out loud. And the other one is Surge. Both of these make it dead simple to actually get your static websites served up. And the nice thing is that they have a reasonable free tier. So we can get our websites up for free. And then if we want more advanced features like HTTPS or some other fancy feature, they offer those just at a paid price. So it's a great way to get started. Both of these services do require you to actually sign up, but they are completely free and they don't require a credit card to sign up. All you have to do is sign up with your email. So I want you to go through that process real quick for Netlify. I'd recommend going through the process for both services that we're going to use in this video, just so you can get a bit more experience figuring out how these things work. You can then pick the one that best suits your needs. So you're going to need to go ahead and sign up. And once you sign up, you're going to have to confirm your email first, then you'll be able to log in. I'm going to go ahead and log into my account. You can pause the video to go through that sign up process. Once you're actually in the service, you're going to see a page like this. The first time you visit, I believe you're going to see a welcome modal. You can just close that down. We're going to talk about how to actually deploy in the video itself. And all it's asking us for is the folder that contains our static site. They want us to drag it into this space. So you're going to need to find the folder in your Finder for OS X or your File Explorer for Windows or whatever your OS has. I'm going to switch over to the Finder. Right here on the desktop, I have my JS Bootcamp folder, and all we're going to do is take the Hangman directory or any of our three apps and drag it right over here. So I am going to take something like the Notes app, I'm going to drag it over, and what's going to happen, it's going to go through the deployment process, and about a second later, we have a live URL that we can visit, and when we visit it, what do we get? We get our application deployed live to the web. This is a URL that anybody could visit, not just us. It's no longer a localhost URL. Anybody can type this in their browser and actually view your app. Let's go ahead and add some information in. I can create a note. I can set my note title to something like course ideas. And if I go back, I am going to see that information. If I give the page a manual refresh, it's still showing up. So there we have it, a pretty simple process to actually deploy one of your static sites. Now, you might have noticed that I hesitated a little bit before I chose to deploy the Hangman app. That's because there is one small change we're going to need to make. So let's move through that process as well. I'm going to go back to my main screen where I have my one application. We're going to take the Hangman app and drag that over. When we do, it is still going to deploy. The problem though is that if we visit the page, it's not going to work. Right here, we have our reset button, but we don't have any of the puzzle information. That is because of an error that's currently hidden in the console. Inside of the console, we're getting a warning about trying to load mixed content. This comes up when you're trying to load HTTPS content on an HTTP site or HTTP content on an HTTPS site. Either way, we want those things to match. In our case, we have an HTTPS site, but we're making a request to HTTP content. This is secure, this is not, so it's not going to actually let us make that request. We can make a small change though over inside of our code to fix this. I'm going to close all open files and collapse all expanded directories. In Hangman, in the scripts folder, we just need to make a couple of changes to requests. The problem here is that on localhost, we have an HTTP site, so we leave it as this. On the actual deployed site, it's HTTPS, so we leave it like this. I don't want to have to make that change every time I want to deploy, and you don't need to. We can actually remove the protocol and the colon and just start with 2 forward slashes. When we do this, it is going to match the protocol of the website. So if we're running on HTTP, it'll use HTTP. If we're running on HTTPS, it'll use HTTPS. We can do the exact same thing down below, leaving our 2 leading forward slashes. I can then go ahead and save requests.js, and we are going to redeploy our site. Over inside of the interface, we can get that done. If we scroll down a little bit, we can go over to production deploys. And on this page, we can drag another version of the application. So once again, we can just switch back to the Finder. We have our change saved, so I can drag it over. And about a second later, the actual app has been redeployed. So if I refresh the page, the same URL, we can see this time around, we're getting the puzzle since we're now making an HTTPS request on an HTTPS page. So I wanted to take a few minutes to talk about that difference in case you ran into that problem. Right here, I can go ahead and actually play my game. I can also reset to get a brand new puzzle. So we can also change the URL for this service. You can use a completely custom domain like me.io or mycompany.com that is part of the paid plan though. They do let you rename the beginning part of the URL though. If you go over to site settings and scroll down, there is a change site name box and you can just pick a new name for your site. So I could use Hangman Game, for example. Let's actually try Hangman and see if that's taken. It looks like it is taken, so I will try Hangman Game. That one has been taken too. Last attempt, Mead Hangman. I'm pretty sure that is going to be available. And it is perfect. Now we have a cleaner URL. I can visit that, and it's actually something you could say to someone, as opposed to this old one, which had a whole bunch of just gibberish inside of it. So this is the Netlify service in a nutshell. It makes it very easy to deploy your static websites. There is another service that I want to talk about, very similar, but with a slight twist. That is called Surge. Surge is awesome because there actually isn't a web interface. We do everything from the command line. We can create an account, log in, and then we can go ahead and push our changes up to their servers. Let's go ahead and move through that process. For this one, we are going to need to head into the terminal. I'm going to crack open the terminal, and we're going to shut down live server. I'm going to close my extra tab. We're going to start with just one tab, and let's use clear to start from a nice, clean slate. Remember way earlier in the course when we used the npm command to actually install live server, which we've been using throughout the course? Well, we're going to use that same npm command to install something different. We're going to be installing the Surge software instead of the live server software. That command is npm install with the G flag, just like this. The spaces are important, and so is capitalization. Then after another space, Surge, S-U-R-G-E. When we run this, it's going to go through the process of installing Surge. Then we're going to be able to use CD to change into one of our application directories and actually serve it up. We've already served up Notes and Hangman, so let's go ahead and use Surge to deploy the To-Do app. Right here, CD, To-Do app. We want to be in the root of the folder we're trying to serve up. I'm going to use clear to just clear the terminal output. And all we need to do is run Surge. It's as simple as that. I'm going to run the command, and it's going to ask us to either log in or create an account. I'm going to go ahead and create one. Then we're going to enter our password. It's not going to show those characters on the screen, so go ahead and enter your password. When you're done, it's going to actually go through the process of taking that folder. Right here, you can see it's allowing you to customize that folder by using the actual keyboard, but the default is just the folder that you ran the command from. We ran the command from the right folder, so we don't have to change anything. If we hit enter again, it's asking us to set up a domain. Once again, we can't use custom domains just yet. Let's leave that as it is. And if we hit enter again, it's actually going to go through the process of deploying the site. And when it's done, what do we get? We get a URL. I can take this URL, I can copy it to the clipboard, I can head over to the browser, crack open a new tab, paste it in, and what do I get? I get my to-do application. I didn't need to go any websites. I didn't need to drag and drop any folders. I just ran a command from the command line. Now we can also use this to deploy new changes to the website. So let's go ahead and actually make a change to something here and deploy it to view the new version. Over in Visual Studio Code, I'm going to crack open a file from the to-do app directory. Let's go ahead and change one of our scripts. I'm going to update the empty message text that we set up in the last video from no to-dos to show to something like there are no to-dos to show. So I'm just changing the language a little bit so we can actually see the change over here. Now, if I refresh things, we're not going to see the change because we're viewing the live version, but we haven't pushed up the latest code we saved locally. We can fix all of this by heading back to the terminal and running surge again. So right here, we run the surge command, no arguments required. And what is it going to do? It's going to walk us through this process again. Now, in this case, you can see it is trying to give us a new domain. It's just picking a new random one. You could also remove that and use the one that we had previously up above. This is now considered ours. So I could type in used-cushion.surge.sh. Then it's going to upload it to the service. And if I go into the browser and refresh the exact same URL we had before, we see our new message showing up. So working with the Surge command line tool is really, really nice. It makes it super easy to get your local static site deployed on the web. The Surge software comes with an extensive list of commands we can use to do anything that we would be able to do from a web interface. If we clear the output, we can run surge space --help. So running surge with the help flag. And this is going to print a bunch of output, some documentation on how we can use it. Down below, one of the additional commands we have access to is surge teardown. Surge teardown brings down a website. So let's say that we don't want to have our to-do app deployed anymore. We can go ahead and run a command to remove it completely. That would be surge teardown. Now this does require the actual domain to tear down. If we run the command, it is going to ask us for it. That is used-cushion.surge.sh, the exact same domain up here. I can go ahead and hit enter to actually run that. It's going to confirm that that was a domain used with our account. In this case, it was, so it was deleted. If I refresh things over here, we can see that it is not able to load the site. Project not found. So there we have it. In this video, we covered a few different ways we can deploy our applications. If you're more inclined to use the command line, Surge is a great free way to go. If you want a simpler web interface, I recommend checking out and using Netlify. Both of them come with a nice, generous free tier, although you can always upgrade to more advanced features when you're ready. All right, that is it for this video, and that is it for this section. We not only know how to make meaningful applications with JavaScript, we also know how to get those applications live on the web, so we can actually share them with others and they can use them. As we add new features, we can redeploy to make sure that users can always access the latest. That's it for this one. I'll see you in the next one.